Today's card of the day is Leonin Arbiter. 1 and white for a creature, cat cleric, with players can't search libraries. Any player may be 2 for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn. 2/2. This is like a oldie but a goldie. I think this card also scales pretty well in most pods, and that if you're playing this in a lower level pod, where maybe you're playing like more battle cruisery, or you're playing not as competitive, I think most people understand that, like, yeah, tutoring is strong, and so it's sort of understood that if you are tutoring, it's going to be a strong effect, and this sort of stops that, which I think most people can get on terms with because people, I think, usually play lower power level games so that like they can have the randomness, and this doesn't really affect the randomness, right? This or sort of affects consistency, which I think most people would be on the board with, right? And I think in most games where people are looking to tutor, they know that this is still like a strong card and it doesn't feel bad, like either way. Like if you're playing this lower pods, you're probably not gonna get feel bad moments, but also in high level pods, people understand the risks of tutoring and people tutoring, and so they will always have to, sort of look and eyeball this card. Just because, of course, you got to pay 2 extra. That's 2 land drops, or if you're not accelerating, right? If you're not planning ramp, that's a lot. That's a lot of mana. And I guess that's where it's like really strong because I think most of the time, if you only have so much mana in a game and you're not ramping that much, this basically means that you're going to stall the game. Especially in like high level pods when people just want to go fast, they just want to run through their deck and get the combo as soon as possible. Most decks are playing blue or black or some variation of combination of. This is just gonna stop them, and this is gonna make the games longer. Granted, those colors do have pretty good late game. This does mean it gives the aggro deck or decks that are playing this card a little more time to sort of set up for what those colors will be able to do. I think it's like a really strong thing to have in a deck. Now, I personally don't play this in, I think, any of my decks. I think there's one deck I have it in. It's like a Orzhov Hate Bear aggro deck. I think it's helmed by Brina. I think I change it once in a while. Brina, and then I have Nazalia. She's like the recent Baldur's Gate commander that can play rogues and clerics and wizards on top of the library. She's just drawing, right? She's just drawing cards. You have a bunch of effects that sort of are redundant and do the same thing, that is like slow their opponents down, but doesn't have any tutors. And it can get around this because it just doesn't need a tutor. It can draw cards, and people who need to tutor more or rely more on tutors, this is gonna be rough for them. And I think for the most part, people do understand that like the more tutors you have, the less you need for card draw, and the more card draw you have, the less need for tutors. I think there's sort of a correlation between the two. And I could be wrong about this because maybe you want a lot of consistency, and you'll see that over higher level pods that they'll have both and a high ratio of both. But for the most part, if people are playing high tutors for consistency's sake as well, this is just going to shut them down, right? They're going to playing all these sort of effects that don't really affect the board, but also they have to shoehorn that into one turn unless they have to pay 2 extra for not affecting the board every time they play a spell, right? So this is just handling those players really effectively, right? It's forcing you to either do something about the board or something about it. Or if you're not, well, you're just gonna pay a lot of taxes, which is great. Got to get those people to pay taxes. I know some people have like this aversion to playing stacks, but then people also complain about comboing in the game. This is sort of your piece to the stopping the combos, right? Like combos are sort of done through a bunch of tutoring. Not all the time, but of course, people do have to close the game out. But the fastest way to get the combos, and I assume you want to play a faster game, which is why you're playing combos. I think most of the time that might be the case. I could be wrong here. This stops that. This stops the comboing. And of course, if people are playing like 3 tutors in one turn, it's pretty obvious that like they're trying to win, right? And this is just if they use their turn to tutor because they have to pay the 2 extra, it's like you just go after them. Like the writing's on the wall. Like they're trying to win. Leonin Arbiter is stopping them. Just attack them. Just attack them. Especially if they're playing blue black. Okay, if they're playing blue black and they're tutoring, you have to attack them. There's no way, like for sure, they're getting like Psych Rift or Demonic Consultation or some variation of. So, of course, let me know what you think about the comments below. Catch y'all later.